I love high risk and high reward playstyles. There's a thrill at dancing on the knife's edge, knowing that one or two mistakes can set you back, but as long as you keep this dance with danger going, you are constantly rewarded for putting yourself in harm's way. These words come to mind when I see the battery booster and double barrel overclocks. They both require you to play with risk at the benefit of a big payoff. Putting these two together on the same loadout creates a setup that thrives on embracing constant danger, all while trying to not burn yourself in the process. If you do manage to master the risks these overclocks provide, you are left with a build that hits hard and is nigh untouchable. If this alone has piqued your interest, have a seat and perk up your ears as we take a look at arguably one of my favorite all-time builds for the Scout. The DRG plasma rifle and the sawn-off shotgun are the cornerstones of this entire loadout. For the DRG, we're slotting in battery booster, which provides the following changes: increased fire rate, plus 100 ammo capacity, reduced shield regen delay by 5 seconds, and plus 5 direct damage and times 2 projectile speed when at full shields. This all comes at the cost of a reduced cooling rate, higher heat generation, and complete loss of shields when overheated. As for the mods of the gun itself, we're slotting in 2-2-2-1-2. We want to reduce the heat consumption and improve our cooling rate while also increasing our base damage. Then we grab Overcharge to inflict electrocution on our targets and Thermal Feedback Loop for increased fire rate when we are above 50% heat. There are not many alternative mod options for this setup. However, I have seen some folks take the larger battery mod for increased ammo reserves, which is all fine and good. Personally, I favor the increased damage since the plus 100 battery capacity in my experience is enough extra ammo to work with on an already highly ammo efficient build. For your secondary shotgun, we're taking the double barrel overclock, which gives you more pellets in your shells, massively increases damage for the AoE shockwave blast, and fires both barrels at once. This all comes at the cost of half your reserve ammo, reduced magazine size, and a significant increase to bullet spread. As for the weapon mods, we're taking 1-2-2-3-2. We want to take all the ammo mods to increase our reserves by plus 9, then grab quickfire for faster reload speed. Improved Blast Wave will increase our shockwave damage by 110 thanks to our overclock's damage multiplier, and our tier 5 mod will grant a 50% chance to inflict fear after every shot. As for alternate mod options, your tier 1 and 5 mods are the most flexible to be altered. You can grab plus 3 damage bonus at the cost of some ammo, or white phosphorus shells that convert 50% of your normal damage to fire damage. Bear in mind that if you take the fire shells mod, you will be able to instantly ignite enemies, but it will also be a significant loss to kinetic damage from your actual bullets and shockwave blast. As for grenades, it's really personal preference, and I go with Voltaic Stun Sweeper for its general usage of stunning and delivering electrical damage to multiple enemies. As for perks and passives, there are really only two I would consider mandatory: Thorns and Shield Link, which I will explain in detail later. Both these overclocks greatly play to the Scout's strength of a run-and-gun playstyle in terms of staying on the move and dishing out damage when possible. The focus of this entire loadout is to play dangerous, but not reckless. You are, after all, juggling 3 types of risk: keeping your heat meter under control, playing danger close when fighting with a shotgun, and balancing playing a Scout in general. Overconfidence is your biggest killer after all. The DRG becomes your powerhouse primary with this overclock setup. It is very ammo efficient with this build thanks to the additional ammo and damage bonus from battery booster while at full shields. Firing in short bursts will usually be enough to get rid of most enemies, be they chaff or elite units. The damage over time from electricity should also not be discounted, as it can chip away at enemy health and easily finish off weakened units. You ultimately want to be continually building and draining your heat to ensure a steady flow of damage throughout combat. However, above all else, it is important to keep this gun from overheating, as this results in the complete loss of your shields. Speaking of shields, the reduced shield regen delay allows the Scout's shielding to absorb a lot more hits than usual. A lower delay means less time needed for your shield to start regenerating from damage. This bonus stacks with the improved generator modification on your armor, which reduces shield delay further from 7 to 6 seconds. Add the delay from battery booster and you are left with a shield delay of 1. This basically means the second you stop taking damage, your shield begins to regenerate immediately. This allows your shields to regenerate in a shorter amount of time and allows you to absorb more light attacks before they become a danger to your health bar. This plus the scout's high mobility with the grapple hook allows them to easily gain distance from their enemies while regenerating their shields on the go. Now, I'm normally not a stickler for strict perk choices, but Thorns and Shieldling are the only perks I would consider mandatory, as they increase your survivability with shields even further. Thorns turns your shield into an offensive tool that benefits from the rapid shield regen and becomes an even more efficient deterrent to melee attackers. Then we have Shieldling, which provides even more shield regen to both you and your teammates when you are within 4 meters of them, in addition to the ability to overcharge their shields. These benefits to the shield, in addition to the benefits of the Drac, is why keeping this gun from overheating is vital. Because when you overheat, you don't just lose your shield, you lose all the other bonuses in the process. As long as you keep your heat in check, your plasma rifle will be able to handle the majority of enemies while your improved shields absorb damage more consistently. Then we have Double Barrel, which adds another risky playstyle to our build. This overclock pretty much turns the gun into something out of Doom, and is your ultimate answer to crowd control. The massive damage output is enough to obliterate swarms of bugs and take out chunks of health from heavy enemies. The catch, however, is you have to get as close as possible to rack up those big damage numbers. And by close, I mean really close. I'm talking stare into their eyes close. Or is it stare into their jaws? No matter. The point is, the closer you are, the greater the damage. You want to use it exclusively for big groups or big targets. Having a reserve of 22 bullets feels like a lot, but you'll burn through it quickly if you aren't using it effectively. So make sure that for every bullet you spend, you take down 5 or more in return. Most importantly, you want to ensure you have some form of escape when going in for close quarter combat, especially in dense groups. This is precisely why I prefer the Fear mod on this setup, as any enemy that is somehow left alive will likely be feared and lowers the chances of being swarmed, giving ample time to make your escape or push your attacks further. Don't forget that you have the grappling hook, which can help you evade enemies and leave combat. You can even use the grapple hook for offensive purposes in performing maneuvers that have you grappling towards your enemies and following up with your weapons to maximize damage. Now, despite all these positives that I've mentioned, both these overclocks deliver considerable risk and punishment if you don't use them correctly. However, if you keep those risks in check, you'll find the benefits they provide in combat to be very much worth it. In regards to drawbacks, one of the biggest flaws of this build is that it is not for beginners or the faint-hearted. This build requires you to understand all the ins and outs and nuances in terms of risk assessment as a scout. You need to know how much risk you are willing to take, how much danger you are putting yourself in, and knowing how to easily get out of said danger using your traversal skills. If you don't have a grasp on that, you will be making a lot more mistakes than usual, on top of learning a new build. In terms of additional flaws, you don't want to put yourself in situations where you will be taking a lot of extended damage. While your improved shields can soak up more damage than usual thanks to its faster regen, they will still break under severe pressure. Your shields can reliably soak up minor damage from grunts, swarmers, and certain Macteras, but they will not hold up against heavy damage from elite units like dreadnoughts. So do not underestimate how much damage the bugs can dish out, and do not overestimate how much damage your shields can endure. Finally, you want to be extremely mobile on a build like this. Now, I can say that about the Scout in general, but this build rewards you for being able to effortlessly jump between mid-range and close range, but staying in neither for prolonged periods of time. It's a constant dance of mid-range combat with the Drac and getting up close and personal with the shotgun. Whatever you do, be sure to keep standing still to an absolute minimum. In closing, Battery Booster and Double Barrel are at the end of the day very volatile overclocks that really push you into embracing different playstyles. And that in itself is half the fun. The other half is simply the risk itself. I would definitely not consider this a chill build. You are constantly juggling different types of risks, mechanics, and scenarios in your head. And for some folks, that's not their bag, but for others it can be stimulating and fun. There is a thrill in embracing a build that bounces between reward and ruin. If this is something you think you've been missing in DRG, then I highly recommend you give this build a try in embracing your inner daredevil.